Billionaire's mom disapproves of his bold curvy girlfriend. Until the shocking truth is revealed. The tension crackled in the air like a live wire. At the heart of it was Lucas, the billionaire heir with a penchant for colorful tattoos and a reckless smile. His glitzy mansion, perched atop a hill, hosted not just the elite of the city, but the disapproving gaze of his mother, Eleanor. She was a force of nature, cold, rigid, her gaze like ice as it landed on Melissa, Lucas's new girlfriend. Melissa was everything Eleanor detested, bold, curvy, and unapologetically vibrant. Her laughter filled the air, a melody that sharply contrasted with the tense silence that thickened around Eleanor. As the party swayed and sparked, the vibrant colors of twinkling lights wrapped the night in a festive embrace, but gloom loomed over Lucas. Eleanor leaned closer, her voice a hiss as sharp as a dagger. "You can't possibly think this is the kind of woman who belongs in our family," she snapped. The words hit Lucas like a punch to the gut, igniting a fierce protectiveness in him. But Melissa, caught in the crossfire, simply smiled, as if she could see right through Eleanor's icy armor. Everything about her seemed like a puzzle piece that didn't fit in Eleanor's rigid frame of tradition. Melissa wore a bright red dress that hugged her curves, her dark curls bouncing with every light-hearted joke she shared with Lucas's friends. A hint of mystery clung to her, a depth that made everyone else at the party dull in comparison. People whispered, casting furtive glances, some in shocked disapproval, others with a desire to know more. Who was this woman that stirred such discord? In the corner, shockwaves rippled through the crowd when George, an equally wealthy family friend, whispered, "What does she know that we don't?" A ripple of intrigue blossomed, and curiosity bloomed like a wildflower. The night had morphed from mundane chatter into a swirling storm of speculation and secrets. Everyone sensed it, the tension, the bizarre dynamic, the feeling that something monumental was about to unravel. Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the night wore on, the atmosphere thickened, crackling with unspoken words. Eleanor's sharp gaze lingered on Melissa, her thoughts hidden behind a veil of disdain. Yet, there was something unsettling beneath that facade. What was Eleanor truly afraid of? The color in Melissa's cheeks returned, vibrant despite the storm brewing around her. Just then, the doorbell rang, echoing throughout the mansion like a warning bell. Everyone turned. Who could it be? The whispers intensified, their excitement burgeoned into wild speculation. Lucas felt the knot in his stomach tighten. Was he ready for whatever chaos was about to enter their lives? The door swung open, and a shadowy figure stepped inside. All eyes were upon them. What would this new arrival reveal? The night had morphed into something altogether different, and the mystery just deepened. The figure that stepped through the door was cloaked in shadows, their features concealed by the dim lighting. Gasps filled the room, the kind of sound that ripples from lips pressed together tightly in shock. Lucas squinted, his heart racing, every nerve in his body poised for the unexpected. Who the hell is that? Someone whispered, and the tension escalated, a tight band wrapping around the throats of the guests. The music had faded to a mere whisper, but the conversation buzzed with static energy. All eyes were fixed on the intruder. As the figure took a step forward, the light from the chandelier spilled down, revealing a woman striking and bold, with long, flowing hair that seemed to shine like silver under the glow. When she finally stepped into the light, Lucas's heart dropped. It was Rose, his childhood friend, and the one who had vanished without a trace years ago. Lucas, she breathed, and the sound sent chills down his spine. Memories poured in like a deluge, laughter-filled days, wild adventures, and secrets whispered in the night. She had been his confidant before leaving for reasons nobody ever understood. Eleanor's eyes narrowed, her icy demeanor freeze-framing in surprise. "This is unacceptable," she hissed, her voice trembling with uncharacteristic emotion. "What is she doing here?" Melissa, caught in a surge of confusion, shot a wide-eyed glance at Lucas, seeking answers. The delicate balance of the evening shattered like glass underfoot, every conversation abruptly halted, each guest swallowed in their own confusion and intrigue. I came to see you," Rose said, her voice steady, yet a twinge of vulnerability bleeded through. She looked around the room, the weight of every gaze pressing against her like a tangible force. "I've missed you, Lucas. I had to come back." "He had to move on, Rose," Eleanor spat, her composure flickering in the heat of the moment. "You can't just waltz in here, back into his life." After all these years, the air crackled anew. Questions emerged in the minds of everyone present, swirling through the crowd. Why had she left? What made her come back now? And most importantly, how would Lucas react? Lucas's voice was a mix of disbelief and longing. His soul felt caught in a whirlwind between memories of a past he thought he'd buried and the vibrant present he was building with Melissa. Melissa stepped closer, her brow furrowing with concern. "Lucas, who is she? What is going on?" He turned to her, desperation clinging to the edges of his words. "I don't know. She is someone from my past, someone I thought I'd lost for good." The crowd buzzed, whispers filling the room with an electric hum. What was this reunion threatening to unravel? What hidden truths lay beneath Rose's return, lurking in the shadows of their shared history? Eleanor's expression was a storm of emotions, wrestling with anger, confusion, and perhaps, the flicker of fear. For the first time, her icy demeanor wavered. What if this was the secret she had been fearing? As Lucas's mind raced with possibilities, a new voice cut through the tension. "And I'm not the only one here with secrets," Rose announced, her gaze sweeping over the crowd as if daring them to challenge her. The undercurrent of her words hung heavy, crackling with promise and threat. The room went silent. Lucas felt the weight of the moment, a sense of foreboding settling deep within his chest. What had Rose brought back with her into their lives? And what would be revealed next? The night was far from over, and the air shimmered with the anticipation of chaos. What truth lay beneath the surface, waiting to explode? The silence was palpable, as if every breath held a secret it didn't dare release. Lucas felt himself being pulled deeper into the vortex of unresolved history, each heartbeat pounding like a war drum in his ears. Rose's eyes flickered over the crowd, collecting whispers and wide-eyed stares, before settling back on him with an intensity that made his chest tighten. "What secrets?" Eleanor challenged, her voice cutting through the tension like a knife. She stepped forward, desperate to regain control over the unfolding chaos. "If you have something to say, then say it. Don't play games." Rose's lips curled into a slight smile, a mix of nostalgia and something darker lurking beneath the surface. "Oh, Eleanor, you know better than anyone that some games are far too thrilling to abandon." She glanced back at Lucas, a flicker of something unnameable passing between them. "And this game, it's not just about me. It involves all of us." Lucas's stomach churned. The shadows of the past loomed larger, threatening to swallow him whole. He remembered late-night conversations filled with dreams and fears, how they had promised to always be there for each other. What had happened to that innocent friendship? "Rose, please just tell me. What are you hiding?" Before she could reply, an unexpected figure strode into the light, a man with a confident stride and an air of authority that crackled like static. His sharp suit glistened in the faint light, and he paused, scanning the guests. "I see the reunion is lively," he said, his voice smooth yet unnerving. "Who are you?" Melissa asked, stepping protectively closer to Lucas. "Our little secret keeper," Rose said, her tone mirroring the enigmatic smile from moments before. "Adrian," she added, pointing to the newcomer. "Adrian?" Lucas asked, confusion swirling. "What do you have to do with this?" Adrian's eyes bore into Lucas, narrowing. I'm the one who knows why Rose left and what she has come back to confront, he said, ignoring the glares surrounding him. And believe me, it's big. The room buzzed with anticipation, a live wire of curiosity and dread. Flashes of judgment darted through the crowd, wondering what could be so monumental that it prompted Rose's return, and what this man, this newcomer, held over them. Do you really want to know, Lucas? Adrian leaned in, an unsettling calmness in his demeanor. What she's buried, what we all buried, could change everything you think you know about your life. The tension climbed higher, escalating to a point where Lucas could almost feel the walls closing in. Just say it. He found himself shouting, the urgency in his voice surprising even him. A smirk creased Adrian's lips, his eyes glimmering with amusement and menace. Tell me, what happens when the past you thought was buried comes clawing back into your life, unraveling everything? Secrets, after all, have a way of surfacing. Rose's expression shifted, a storm of emotions battling just beneath the surface. You don't have to do this, Adrian, she warned, a plea wrapped in defiance, but Adrian didn't relent. You decided to waltz back in, Rose. Now the world gets to know why you really left. The spotlight narrowed to a pinpoint, and in that moment, the air became electric. Everyone held their breath, caught in a web of anxious curiosity. What was the truth that would emerge from this confrontation? What would it mean for Lucas, for Rose, for all of them? As the seconds dragged on, Lucas could feel the ground beneath him shift. The once solid foundation of his reality was cracking, ready to give way beneath the weight of revelation. What would be exposed? And was he ready for the truth that had lingered like a ghost in the shadows, waiting patiently to be unveiled? The revelation was close, hovering in the edges of the evening's grasp. And as Lucas readied himself for the inevitable, he couldn't help but wonder, would he still recognize the pieces of his life once everything fell apart? Adrian's voice hung in the air like a detonated bomb, each word ricocheting around the room, kindling an inferno of emotions. Lucas clenched his fists, every muscle in his body tensed as he fought the dizzying whirlpool of dread and anticipation. The whispers spread through the crowd, lighting in small clusters like fireflies at dusk, igniting curiosity and suspicion. What do you mean? Lucas found himself demanding, even though a part of him feared the answer. What did Rose bury? Adrian took a step closer, his gaze icy. Only the truth that could shatter all of you. And let me be clear, Lucas, if you want to hear it, you better be prepared to face the fallout. Enough. Eleanor stepped forward, her voice a burst of defiance. You don't get to control this. We all deserve to know what Rose is hiding. Rose's face was a mask of turmoil, every muscle clenching in resistance. Adrian, don't you dare, she warned, but the urgency trembled in her tone. You don't know how badly this could hurt everyone. Adrian's smirk deepened, a predator circling its prey. Oh, but isn't that the point, Rose? We've been dancing around these truths for far too long. Tonight, it ends. A weighty silence followed, thick as smoke. Lucas's heart pounded within the confines of his ribcage. He felt trapped in the moment, desperate for an escape, yet yearning for answers. What do you know, Adrian? He asked again, conviction rippling through his voice against the tremors of uncertainty. Adrian tilted his head slightly, a flicker of amusement in his sharp features. Let's just say, there are things that motivate people to leave or return. You might want to sit down for this. The crowd shifted uneasily, breaths held tight in anticipation. Lucas's stomach twisted further, a sense of each heartbeat resonating in his ears. Rose's eyes met his, laden with unspoken regret, and in that moment, he sensed a fracture, a break he already felt deep within himself. Just then, the tension snapped. Enough. Melissa's voice rang out, hard and clear. If you have something to say, say it. We can't keep waiting in the dark. Very well, Adrian drawled, savoring the power he wielded over them. Rose left because of a choice that set off a chain of events no one could foresee. You all thought she abandoned you, didn't you? He cast a feigned sympathetic glance at Lucas. But in reality, the truth she ran from was even bigger. Her father was involved in something illegal and he made sure she would never speak of it again. A gasp rippled through the crowd, a collective shockwave that seemed to freeze the air solid. Lucas stared at Rose, searching her face for confirmation or denial. The truth loomed larger than life, shadowing every memory they shared. Could it be true? Was her family connected to something that sinister? I had no choice, Rose stammered, the quiver in her voice revealing the emotional cauldron within. I had to protect you all. I didn't want this. Looking at her, Lucas felt a mix of betrayal and compassion tugging at his heart. But why didn't you say anything? Because, Rose inhaled deeply, some truths are weapons. And if unleashed, they could destroy everything. Adrian chuckled darkly. And here we are, all waiting for the exact moment those weapons detonate. We need to unpack this, don't you think? As the crowd erupted into a frenzy of murmurs, Lucas's mind raced. Fear and anger battled for dominance within him. What could possibly unravel next? Could they survive the storm, or was this just the beginning of the end? But the question loomed larger than the chaos surrounding them. If Rose had been hiding such a truth, what else lay buried even deeper beneath the surface? A sudden crash echoed from the back of the room, scattering the crowd, and Lucas felt his heart leap into his throat. As the chaos unfolded, he realized the real nightmare was only just beginning. The loud crash sent a ripple of panic through the crowd. Chairs toppled, and the murmurs turned to shouts as people instinctively backed away from the source of the noise. Lucas's heart raced, pounding against his chest like a frantic drum, every instinct screaming that the calm facade they had built was shattering. Stay back. Adrian commanded, but his voice only added to the chaos, amplifying the hysteria. Lucas turned, straining to see what caused the disturbance. Emerging through the swirling mass of bodies was an unfamiliar figure, wild-eyed and frenzied. It was a woman with disheveled hair that seemed to match the storm in her eyes. You have to listen to me. She yelled, her voice hoarse yet filled with urgency. I know about Rose. Gasps erupted once more, a tide of confusion washing over everyone. Lucas's stomach twisted into a knot. Who was she? How did she know Rose? Adrian stepped forward, eyes narrowing with suspicion. And who exactly are you? You think you can just barge in here? I'm Kate. I worked with her father. The woman cut him off, her breath hitching. I've seen things. I know things that could put us all in danger. The crowd shifted again, whispers morphing into frenzied chatter. Lucas found himself inching closer, barely able to comprehend what he was hearing. If this woman had worked for Rose's father, then maybe she held the key to everything. What's happening? Rose demanded, trying to regain control of the situation, but her voice trembled just the same. Trust me, if you don't hear me out, it could cost us everything. Kate's eyes darted around, anxiety radiating from her like an electric current. Your father was involved in something much bigger than you can imagine. He wasn't just involved in illegal activity, he was connected to people who would kill to protect their secrets. Every word was a nail driving deeper into the cacophony of fear inside Lucas. Rose's face paled, her defiance melting away. You don't know what you're talking about, she whispered, but doubt flickered in her eyes. Oh, but I do. I saw what happened to the people who got too close. Your father doesn't just bury truths, he buries bodies. Kate's voice trembled with rage and desperation, drawing the group's attention as she stepped closer, breathing hard. I'm here to warn you. You all need to leave this place. Now. The atmosphere crackled with tension. Lucas's mind reeled as he processed the implications. How deep did the rabbit hole go? What had Rose really been protecting them from? Adrian, what do we do? Eleanor's voice shook, her eyes wide with fear. The elegant woman, so poised just moments before, now seemed just as terrified as everyone else. Adrian's trademark smirk faded, replaced by a wary demeanor. If what she says is true, it changes everything. Is it true? Lucas asked Rose, feeling the weight of 1,000 emotions pressing down on him. They could be after you. Or us. Rose remained silent, her gaze fixed on Kate. The truth was clawing its way to the surface, but fear masked whatever clarity she held. Could they trust this woman? Time is running out. Kate shouted, her voice sharp as a knife. You need to decide, or it will be too late. You have to leave, now. Lucas felt the walls closing in. If they stayed, would they walk into a trap? Or would fleeing only lead to more questions? As adrenaline coursed through him, he glanced around the room, searching for any hint of a way forward. The choice loomed before them, heavy and potent. Escape or confront? Let us go. He finally shouted, but Rose hesitated, wrestling with her emotions. Wait. She called out, and everyone turned. There is something I need to tell you, something I should have said a long time ago. The clock was ticking, and time stood still. What secret could she possibly unravel now, when everything hung in the balance? The crowd fell silent, each breath barely touched upon the air as they awaited her revelation. Would this be the truth that would save them or the final downfall? The silence stretched, heavy and thick, like fog settling over a haunted landscape. Rose could feel their eyes on her, the weight of their anticipation pressing down into her skin. Her heart fluttered wildly, caught between fear and the need to confess. She took a step closer, her pulse racing as she processed Kate's warning. I didn't want to tell you this here, she stammered, her voice small. But you need to know. My father, he was involved with people who take lives if they feel threatened. I thought I could protect you all. I thought it was safer. The crowd murmured, a wave of shock that rippled through the room. Lucas could barely breathe. His mind raced with questions. What had she been hiding? Could they even protect themselves now? Rose, you've kept this from us all this time. Adrian said, disbelief etched across his face. How could you? I was scared. Rose blurted out, eyes wide with desperation. Scared of what they might do. I thought if I pretended everything was normal, maybe it would be. Normal? Kate echoed, her voice sharp with disbelief. You call this normal? Your father's actions jeopardize everyone. They have eyes everywhere. Lucas felt like he was drowning. Every word Rose spoke sank deeper into his chest. She had wrapped them all in a blanket of deception, one that could wind tighter if they didn't act quickly. Look, we can't just stand here and argue. Lucas interrupted, a rush of urgency filling him. We need a plan. Together. Now. Sure, a plan. Adrian scoffed, running a hand through his hair. How do we fight against a ghost? Against a father who has done irreversible things. Rose stepped forward, her navel of courage surfacing. What if we confront him? She said, her voice gaining strength. What if we expose him? If we confront him, we can take away his power. Lucas glanced at the others, gauging their reactions. Fear wavered in their expressions, but something else sparked true hope. They could no longer run. They had to fight, but were they prepared for the storm it would unleash? Kate looked furious, crossing her arms. Are you out of your mind? That's exactly what he wants. To draw you back into his world, to silence you before you can speak out. Then how do we protect ourselves? Eleanor asked, trembling. I can't just wait and hope he doesn't find us. The atmosphere grew charged. Lucas felt a familiar tightness in his chest, a fire igniting within him. They needed to move, to act before the darkness wrapped its vice grip on them. Listen, Lucas said, looking at each of them squarely. This is it. We're not running anymore. Rose, you're going to face your father, but we're coming with you. We'll expose him and take back our lives. The room buzzed, people exchanging uncertain glances. The line had been drawn. They could feel the danger looming, tension pulling taut, ready to snap, but a shadow from the corner caught Lucas's eye, a tall man with an enigmatic smile lurking near the exit. He shouldn't have been there, yet he seemed to watch. A chill ran down Lucas's spine as realization hit him, they were being watched. "What's wrong, Lucas?" Rose asked, noticing his gaze shift. "Someone's here," he murmured, adrenaline surging. "Someone who shouldn't be." Before he could point out the figure, the room plunged into darkness. Panic erupted again, shouting drowning out any coherent thought. "Stay close," Lucas called, holding on to Rose's arm. "We need to find a way out." But even as they stumbled blindly into the chaos, Lucas couldn't shake the feeling that the shadows had teeth, and they were poised to snap down hard. Who had come for them, and what would happen when the lights flickered back on? The silence was oppressive, filled with the panicked whispers of their friends trying to grasp the calamity surrounding them. The darkness felt alive, wrapping around Lucas and Rose like a suffocating blanket. He could hear the scuffling of feet, the clattering of chairs as people pushed their way toward the exits, blind in their flight from the unknown. "Rose, hold on tight," Lucas shouted, gripping her hand as they navigated the frantic crowd. The air thickened with fear, palpable and real, like smoke filling a room. Each heartbeat pounded loudly in his ears as they stumbled together through the pitch blackness. Suddenly, amid the chaos, a sharp scream cut through the air. Lucas's breath caught in his throat. "Was that Eleanor?" he asked, scanning the enveloping blackness, trying to make sense of the disorder. I think so." Rose gasped, her eyes wide with terror as she stood rooted to the spot. "Stay here," he ordered, but Rose tugged on his hand, her determination igniting. "We can't leave them." Without thinking, they veered toward the source of the noise, hearts racing as dread spiraled in Lucas's gut. He needed to protect Rose at all costs. They worked their way through the crowd, fear gnawing at them, the realization that they were all in danger weighing heavily on their shoulders. As they approached a faint flicker of light at the back of the hall, the commotion subsided slightly. Lucas spotted Eleanor crouched on the floor, trying to protect herself against a door that had been forced open or shattered, he couldn't tell. She stared wide-eyed as the faint illumination pooled around her, revealing the shadow of the figure from earlier. "Get back!" Lucas called out, adrenaline slicing through him like ice. But it was too late, the man took a step forward, emerging from the shadows with an unsettling calmness. "Looking for someone?" the stranger said, his voice smooth, almost mocking. Lucas felt Rose pull him back, her grip tightening with fear. "Who are you?" she demanded, trying to sound brave, but Lucas could hear the tremor. "Just a friend," he replied, smirking at them, eyes glinting with a playful malice that made Lucas's skin crawl. "Well, if you can call it that. Get away from us," Lucas urged, stepping in front of Rose. "Interesting how the pieces move on the board, isn't it?" The man mused, glancing from Lucas to Rose with a chilling curiosity. "You're the perfect storm, aren't you? He'll be pleased to know you're making headlines. But I'm afraid you're about to be swept away." "Who's pleased?" Rose asked, confusion wrapping around her words like a choking vine. At that moment, the lights flickered back on, revealing the chaos around them. People were scattered, some huddled together, faces drenched in fear and confusion. But Lucas's focus narrowed on the stranger. The sudden clarity made him aware a knot in his stomach told him this man was dangerous. "That's not important," the stranger said, his gaze still locked on Rose. "What matters is how badly you want to keep your secrets hidden, and what I can do to expose them." Lucas stepped forward, fueled by a surge of courage. "You'll regret it if you come any closer." "Brave," the stranger said with a smirk. "But what do you really know about bravery? Or about secrets? Your little band of rebels is dangerously unprepared." Eleanor finally stood up, her eyes darting between them. "What do you want from us?" The man leaned closer. Oh, sweet girl. The question isn't what I want. The question is, what will you pay to find out? The tension swelled, thickening as uncertainty loomed over them like an impending storm. How far are you willing to go to protect each other? To uncover the truth? Lucas's heart raced. Each moment stretched taut with dread as they faced this new threat, an enemy who held secrets they were unprepared to confront. The man's lips curled into a smile. I look forward to your answer, because you don't have much time left. He stepped back, fading into the drown of the returning crowd, leaving the words hanging in the air like a dark omen. What now? Rose whispered, fear mingling with resolve in her eyes. Lucas knew the answer. It was time to confront their worst fears and stand strong together. But would they be ready for what awaited them in the shadows of knowledge still shrouded in mystery? The night wasn't over, and the fight had only just begun. Lucas shot a glance at Eleanor, whose expression had transformed from terror to determination. We need to get everyone out of here, she said, her voice steadying as she took a breath. If that guy knows something, we can't wait around. Right, Lucas replied, steeling himself. But even as he turned to lead the way, an unsettling thought crept in. What if the stranger was right? What if they really were unprepared? The crowd was still reeling, people glancing back over their shoulders, eyes wide and scanning for threats that seemed to lurk behind every shadow. Lucas felt Rose's grip around his arm tighten, her pulse quickening. Stick together, don't lose focus. He barked, rallying their friends who were slowly gathering into a makeshift line. He caught sight of the man's mocking smile flickering in his mind. We're getting out of here. As they began moving, Lucas noticed flickers of movement near the edges of the crowd. Chills danced down his spine as he held Rose's hand tighter. We might not be alone, he warned, adrenaline pulsing through his veins. Do you think he has sent someone after us? Rose whispered, her voice barely a hiss above the crowd's murmur. Stay close. He urged, pushing through the throngs of panicked people. The weight of fear hung in the air, thick enough to choke. Faces were twisted with confusion, people talked frantically, trying to make sense of what had just happened. But Lucas knew this was just the beginning. Something darker was out there, watching. Suddenly, a figure sprang forward from the side, slipping through the disarray. A young man, tall and wiry, his expression one of desperation and fear. Wait. Don't go. He shouted, falling in step beside them, breathless. You know what's happening? Lucas demanded, his heart racing. Sort of, the man panted, his eyes darting around. I saw him. The guy who just threatened you. He's part of something bigger, something dangerous. You have to listen to me. Lucas felt all eyes shift to him, expectation heavy. What do you know? They're a group. They want to control everything, people, ideas, the truth. They are always watching. The young man glanced nervously over his shoulder. And if they find out you're onto them, his voice trailed off, but the implicit threat hung painfully in the air. Frustrated, Lucas pushed him. What do they want with us? They know about your secrets, he replied, guilt staining his voice. Your group, your friend who was taken. They believe you have something they want. Rose gasped. Eleanor. It connects the dots. She's a way in, the man said, his eyes wide with fear. Lucas felt his stomach drop. He looked at Eleanor, the realization hit like ice water plunging down his spine. What secrets did they even hold? Eleanor shook her head, trying to gather her thoughts. What could I possibly have that they want? Before he could answer, the lights flickered again, plunging them back into darkness. A low, rumbling sound echoed through the hall, a sinister undertone that sent a shiver through Lucas's bones. Run! Lucas shouted, panic exploding in his chest. They fled blindly through the crowd as the sounds of chaos erupted around them, thuds of shattering glass and screams cutting sharply through the air. They turned down another hallway, desperate to escape the looming shadow of the unknown. Where do we go? Rose asked, her breath quickening, feet pounding against the floor like a wild drum. That way. Lucas pointed toward a flickering exit sign at the end. But as they moved closer, a figure materialized at the door, blocking their path. The world around them grew darker, the oppressive presence of danger filling every crevice. What are you prepared to sacrifice to save your secrets, Lucas? The voice echoed ominously, an all too familiar chill testing his resolve. With their path obstructed and the enemy looming closer, Lucas felt fear solidify in his throat. They were out of time, and with every second, the stakes climbed higher. They needed a plan, and fast. But with so many questions swirling, would they find the answers before it was too late? Step aside. Lucas shouted, pushing against the heavy presence that stood in their way. The figure was cloaked in shadows, his face obscured, but the menace radiated off him like heat from a fire. The crowd gasped as Lucas's words sliced through the panic. Do you really think you can just run away? The figure taunted, voice smooth, yet edged with malice. Where would you even go? They'll find you. Lucas's heart raced. The threat hung between them like a noose, tightening with every heartbeat. Not if we can help it, he replied, trying to keep his voice steady. Get ready to move, everyone. Eleanor stepped forward, her face a mask of defiance. What do you want from us? She demanded, though fear flickered in her eyes. The stranger chuckled softly. What I want? Oh, sweet Eleanor, it's not about me. It's about what you hold. You have the key, and you don't even know it. I don't know anything. She protested, glancing back at Lucas, her anxiety boiling over. With a sudden surge of adrenaline, Lucas surged past the figure, but the shadowy figure reacted faster. A gloved hand shot out, grabbing Lucas's arm in a vice-like grip. Pain shot through him, but he twisted away, breaking free. Let us go. He yelled, rallying his friends. They bolted, pushing past the sea of bodies that had swarmed the corridor. Panic-stricken faces turned toward them, voices crying out in confusion, but Lucas had no time for the chaos. He focused on the exit ahead, where the green light beckoned like a lighthouse in a storm. Where is this group coming from? The young man asked, his breath labored as they ran. What do they want from us? No time. Lucas called back, we need to get to safety first. Just then, a loud crash came from behind them, a door being splintered open. Shouts echoed, urgency chasing them like a predator. The sound spurred them onward, the promise of escape flickering tantalizingly close. Keep moving. Eleanor urged, her voice shaking but fierce. They reached the exit, only to find it blocked by another figure, one that appeared just as dark and menacing. Fear coursed through Lucas, making it hard to breathe, twin threats closing in on their freedom. Where do you think you're going? The new figure demanded, stepping into the light. Lucas felt his resolve falter. Was he really facing them down? Suddenly, a loud explosion of glass erupted behind them. Lucas shot a look over his shoulder. The earlier figure had charged into the crowd, creating a path of chaos that split the group. Quick! This way! Lucas pointed down a dimly lit corridor that branched off from the main exit. It was their only chance. They darted toward it, fleeing the growing rumble of destruction that followed them. As they fled further into the dark, every sound a distant shout, a thud made Lucas's heart pound louder. Why were they being hunted like this? He needed answers. His thoughts spiraled out of control until Rose's small voice shattered the intensity. What if they find Eleanor first? Lucas turned sharply. We won't let that happen. But doubt crept in. The world felt twisted and terrifying, like a nightmare where the nightmares could leap out of the shadows at any moment. They continued down the corridor, adrenaline fueling them until they stumbled into a room. Just a plain space, but a flickering overhead light illuminated a second exit. Check it. Is it clear? Lucas commanded. Fear tightened around them all as Eleanor stepped up, eyes darting nervously. Before she could answer, The door banged open again, more figures pouring into view, faces shadowed but their intent clear. "Run!" Lucas shouted. As they fled through the second exit, Lucas felt a pulse of desperation. Who were these people? What did they truly want? Just when he thought they were escaping, one last voice echoed out, cutting clear through the chaos. "You'll regret crossing us, Lucas, they'll know." The exit slammed behind them, the thumping of boots echoing in the space they were leaving behind. The weight of urgency clung to them as they rushed out into the night. But the sense of safety was just an illusion, and the real battle lay ahead. As their legs pumped beneath them, the question hung in the air: would they ever truly escape the shadows that hunted them? The air outside felt fresh yet charged, carrying the smell of damp earth and distant chaos. Lucas could feel the weight of the night pressing heavily on him, a suffocating cloak of tension that threatened to crush them all. He turned to Rose, who stood beside him, her eyes wide as she tried to process everything. "We can't stop," he breathed, urgency coursing through him. "We have to keep moving." The group rushed down the darkened street, shadows dancing around them as they sought refuge. Eleanor, normally so composed, was pale and shaking. "Where do we go?" she asked, fear trembling in her voice. "We need to get to the hotel," Lucas decided, "but we'll have to take back roads. It's not safe out here." Melissa, her strength radiating in the tense night, stepped beside Lucas. "Do you think they'll follow us?" she asked, her brow furrowed with worry. "We can't let that happen," he replied, determination hardening his voice. "We were led here tonight for a reason. It's time to confront the truth." They navigated the dark alleyways, their breath mingling with the night air, every step heavier than the last. Lucas's heart raced not just with fear, but with fierce resolve. He had to protect his friends, and especially Rose. Secrets swirled around them like a bitter wind, and he wouldn't allow anyone to be taken again. "Stop!" Adrian's voice shouted, cutting through the night, rising sharply above the din. Lucas spun around to see Adrian emerging from the darkness, a mixture of urgency and worry written across his face. "They know where you are. We have to get to safety." "What do you mean?" Lucas demanded. "Who knows? And how did you find us?" "The moment the lights went out, I intercepted their trackers. They'll be closing in soon, and you need to make a decision. If we stay out in the open, they'll hunt you down." "Where do we go?" Rose's voice wavered, fracturing Lucas's focus. Lifting one hand to steady himself, he fought to keep the fear from showing. "Follow me," Adrian insisted, waving them into a narrow side street. They hurried after him, the dim light illuminating their anxious faces. Lucas could hear the distant sounds of shouts and the heavy thud of footsteps echoing in the night. Every second counted. Once they turned the corner, Adrian led them into a small, abandoned warehouse. "In here," he urged, pushing the door open with a quiet urgency. They slipped inside, breathless but determined. The warehouse was dim and musty, memories of forgotten years wrapped tightly in dust. Lucas scanned their surroundings, finding a flickering light bulb hanging overhead, its bulb barely clinging to life. "All right, we'll hide here for a bit," Adrian said, his voice barely above a whisper. "If we're quick, we can figure out the next steps." Eleanor leaned against a crumbling wall, drawing a shaky breath. "What is happening? Why is this happening to us?" Lucas stepped closer, a tightness in his throat forcing its way out. "There's something bigger going on, and we're caught in the middle of it. Rose, what more do you know? It's time to come clean." Rose's gaze darted around the group, catching everyone's anxious stares. She inhaled, a tremor flickering down her spine. I thought if I buried it, it wouldn't matter. But it does. My father, he didn't just get involved in illegal things. He ran a network, one that connected deep into the underbelly of society. Like a crime syndicate? Melissa questioned, her eyes wide with revelation. Much worse, Rose admitted, her cheeks flushing with regret. He blackmailed people, silenced whistleblowers. He didn't just end careers. He ended lives. The word struck Lucas like a punch in the gut. He felt Eleanor's hand reach for his, squeezing as if in solidarity against the horror unraveling before them. "How did you get mixed up in this?" "I was young and naive," Rose said, despair threading through her tone. "When I discovered what he was truly doing, I wanted to tell everyone. But I was afraid of what he'd do next. So I ran, hoping to stay out of it forever. But why come back now?" Lucas pressed, desperation edging into his voice. "What changed?" "Because he's after me again. He wants the secrets I took with me. And if he finds me, I couldn't bear the thought of him hurting any of you," Rose whispered, her resolve firming. A sudden realization hit Lucas like a freight train. "He will use you to get to us. We need to prepare for that. What do we do?" Eleanor's practical tone emerged, a flicker of strength igniting. "There's one chance confronting him together and exposing him. But not just hiding, we'll gather evidence and go public," Lucas announced, feeling a storm of determination swirling within him. "If we're going to fight this, we need to be smart. It could turn everything upside down," Adrian cautioned, his brow furrowed with concern. "It's the only way to free ourselves," Lucas said, glancing around the group, rallying their spirit. "No more running and hiding." "Let us do it then, together," Melissa affirmed, her eyes shining brightly. They exchanged looks of fierce determination, the fear no longer holding them captive. They were fighting for each other, for their lives. Lucas could feel the swell of their collective strength, and just like that, together, they had transformed their fear into a weapon, a reason to reclaim what had been lost, and in that dim warehouse, where darkness threatened to swallow them whole, a flicker of hope ignited. Ready or not, they would confront the past. As they prepared, Lucas's heart roared in his chest with fierce conviction. The battle ahead would be fierce, yet for the first time that night, he felt a spark of something greater, a sense of family built not on blood, but on other bonds that couldn't wither or fade. Together, they would face the storm. If you're feeling the excitement of this journey and don't want to miss what's coming next, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions, your theories about this conclusion. And instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share, because only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.